Hi, I'm Kristie Clayton, founder and visionary of ConvHERs. HER is an acronym for Helping Executives Rise. Welcome to ConvHERsations with Kristie, where we dive into real, raw, and inspiring conversations with incredible leaders. You see, at ConvHERs, we're not just a community, we're a movement, a space where women leaders rise together, support one another, and celebrate our collective success. Whether you're leading as a second in command, steering the vision as the visionary or founder, or driving impact with your company as a leadership team member, ConvHERs was designed for you. Our mission is to provide resources, coaching, and peer support that you need to grow confidently in your leadership journey. Through memberships like Female Executive Mastermind and the Lead Her community, along with events like workshops and summits, and even personalized coaching, we are here to help women embrace their strengths, overcome challenges, and truly thrive. And that's what ConvHERsations with Kristie is about too. It's a space to share the golden nuggets of wisdom that come from authentic, heartfelt, real conversations. There's no scripts, there's no fluff, just honest insights from leaders who are leading boldly and making an impact. See, I believe leadership isn't something you do alone. It's a journey we navigate, and we don't have to do that alone. We can do it together, because together we rise. Now, let's get started with today's conversation. I am confident you are going to love it. I'm excited, y'all, to share with you John Marshall and who he is and what he's doing. So, John, do you want to share a little bit about you and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. And happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Kristie.
Oh, so excited, friend.
So I run a company called Series Next Solutions that focuses on finance and accounting for small businesses, typically about $2 to $10 million revenue businesses who haven't really looked forward before and need somebody to come in and help, clean up accounting, get things accurate and consistent, and then help them project and use fractional CFO services as a part of it. And we're kind of we're the whole kit. And so our tagline is, we get you out of the finance seat. So I kind of got here because I always did the math, despite my best efforts and studying history in school, at a liberal arts college. Everywhere I went, I always ended up doing the math. And so I got to know data, I got to know databases, I got to know debits and credits, and how to figure out where we were going on things. Eventually, was a COO of a scaling startup that was growing really fast and needed all those things that Series Next Solutions does. And so when I rolled out of there, I thought, man, I'd like to do that again. And that was 2020. And so we've figured out how to do that again on a fractional basis for companies who are growing. And I have a small team based officially in New Orleans, Louisiana, but about half to 2/3 of us are remote at this point. So we have a happy little squad in the office every day, but it's very much a hybrid environment. And at home, which is where I am this morning, I have 4 kids. So, and the oldest is 11. So I'm pretty busy just with Series Next Solutions and whatever my kids are doing. And don't get out a ton more than that, but that is plenty for me. So I am completely packed in life and actually really just enjoying it.
Yeah, life is great right now. And listen, we've had the honor to meet your youngest at Summit last year.
That's right.
Youngest now?
That's right. So Matthew's 17 months now. He is walking, he's waddling.
Oh my goodness.
And he's figured out a few words. So he's on his way. I don't know if he's going to make a repeat appearance next year because, for people who were there, my wife Jennifer came to be part of the SNS executive sales team, and her comment when I asked her how much she liked it was she thought it was great. She was really excited for next year in Houston because it's not that far from New Orleans, and that she's not bringing the baby this time.
Yeah, he was the cutest little prop that you all had, though, right? He was just adorable. We were so excited.
So effective.
Yes. Bringing kids or babies to a women's summit was brilliant on your behalf, my friend.
Everybody wants to hold the baby. Yeah, he was 12 months old too. Because you remember 2 years ago I was there and I was like in a fog because he was like 8 days old.
Uh-huh. I remember. I remember. And for clarity, Houston is this year, not next year, right? It feels like next year.
Right. Sorry. It was next year when we talked about it.
I,
Yeah.
I know, right? I keep saying the same thing too, though. I don't know why I keep referring to next year, but Houston is this year, and I'm pretty excited about it. And John, you're coming, and you're going to speak again, right?
Yes, of
Are you
course.
speaking for the first time?
No, I spoke last year, and maybe a couple years ago too. I think I had a year off in there.
Yeah, you did a
Probably the
bonus
year I
session.
had the baby.
Yeah, you
Say that again.
did a bonus session last year, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
that
Four
was.
pillars of an effective finance seat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, can we talk about that for a little bit? Because that
Yeah.
is one of like the big things that one of the questions that I think I hear a lot is, as especially because most of my audience is integrators, right? Is
Hmm.
we have that role and responsibility as integrator to drive the P&L, right? And I think sometimes that's a little bit misinterpreted that, oh, that means that I am the finance person and I have to do all the things. So what I'd love for our conversation, for us to dive into is, what really is the support that a great CFO can provide to integrators? And then like, how do we work well together to make sure that we as integrators are providing the support that our CFO needs, but then also like, how does our CFO support us in what we need from them?
Yeah, that's a great question because people do have all kinds of different definitions of what a CFO is, what a controller is, and some of that is because people have different levels of understanding of the technicals of what those people do, but it's also because of the different stages and sizes of businesses.
Yeah.
So when we talk about CFO at SNS, we're really talking about kind of targeting that $2 to $10 million space where it's not necessarily about strategic, how is this company deploying its capital and making acquisitions and ROIs and all those like super esoteric things.
Yeah.
It is just about connecting key measurable information to financial outcomes. Companies in that space really haven't usually gotten there. And so getting everyone on the same page about how, this many leads a month leads to the top line goal, 2 months from now, or on the cost side, making sure that you have, I don't know, $20,000 of revenue per, this kind of person in your organization. Those are things that aren't necessarily easily understood or intuitive, but a good CFO can help the organization together walk through how do we get from annual goals, which you've already tied into longer term targets, back down to what do we have to do today and how do we know if we're doing it well. And so we talk a lot about that. So it's everything from building a projection, right, future financial clarity, to the scorecard that leads into that. So if we say I want to get $10 million in revenue next year, okay, well, what does that even entail? Tell me about the actions I need to do. I always like to do my own business as an example because my own business is like stupid simple, which is great, right? Like we do our services for a fixed monthly fee, and so it's like how many clients and what's your average. But getting through all the way to like me when I'm in the sales seat and knowing for Series Next Solutions, 2 new clients a month, everything's fine, right? I still know and understand what's going on with the other stuff. Like I'm going to look at what's going on the credit card and stuff like that. But like I'm already 80% stressed down because I've got my nugget, right? This is it. I know this is true.
Right.
That's a process to get to.
It is. And it's funny because hearing you say that, like to me, that as integrator, that's where we can be really, really supportive, right? Is
Yes.
helping you determine what is our goal. But then also, once we have that from you, we can now turn over to our sales and marketing team to say, hey, marketing, we need, leads that generate for our sales to produce X amount. And now we can back into some information, right? So instead of it just being emotionally driven by, visionary, stressed because we're not making enough revenue, or us as integrators stressed because we're not. Now we have data to back up what do we need, how do we apply that information, right?
That's right. Yeah. You know where I've really seen great ahas on that front is when we've done scorecard work.
Yes.
So, teaser, SNS does a scorecard workshop.
And
Sitting and doing, it's the thing I went over with the, oh my gosh, why is the name slipping my mind?
the lead
Not
her community,
Fem, but
the lead her community.
lead her. God, it is
It's
all
early.
week this week. I'm about to go visionary and talk to you for about 5 minutes about how I just sat at a lunch yesterday and couldn't remember people's names. Bring it back, John. So we sit in the room, and the exercise, there's actually an EOS exercise called Getting What You Want. And I don't think a lot of people look at it because it's kind of just like a worksheet that maybe doesn't have super thorough instructions. Yeah. But getting in a room where you've got the leadership team, all the players, and starting to walk through, okay, these are the outcomes that we want. Now let's start backing into it and getting the drivers going. And we usually end up spending an hour just on revenue, right? Getting to, what are the components of revenue? If we're going to get to, $300,000 a month of revenue, what does it look like? Yeah. And then what do we need to do to generate it? You start working yourself up into some sales measurables, usually at the monthly level first, and then the more activity ones that are weekly, right? And then from up there, you get into marketing. And now marketing starts understanding, if I'm driving this, then the impact is that.
Yes.
And just working that on the cost side too. How are we doing this? What do we need to be driving if we want to keep, gross margin at this percent? What does that even mean? And just breaking it down. That's a great CFO activity, is if they can facilitate that.
Yeah, no, I love that too, because we talk about that a lot too, right? Where, listen, we need different types of components of the scorecard, right? Like, I love when a leadership team has lagging information, right? Just data coming in so that they know how well the business is running, but then dropping down to the department level leading indicators, right? So where you're talking about, like, what is the revenue that's coming in at the top line, right? And then, our sales team backing that into, great, how many closes does that mean I need to have every month? But then how many proposals do I need to have? How many discovery calls do I need to have? How many leads do I need to have, from the marketing team? Going back to marketing and saying, hey, marketing, sales needs X amount of leads per month. How do we get that? And backing into all of these numbers, right? And now your scorecard is no longer just a guessing game, throwing a dart out there. It's data driven. Because you're right. Like, I believe, John Marshall, that two things can happen. Is you can have a scorecard that is just literally just historical data. It's just telling you what you know, or you can have a scorecard that drives action.
Yep.
Right.
That's right. So we talk about it. I've got a slide for it. They're all connected, right? Mm-hmm. It's like a two-part matrix, like monthly versus weekly, and your leadership versus your department. And you just essentially described that flow. Where you're going to have your monthly results. You'll have, something a little bit more leading than that on the leadership scorecard. And you have things where once you got your leadership scorecard and you say, what we're looking for here is this number. Like, let's say I know you're tracking leads. To your point, that gets dropped down to marketing. So look, marketing owns that one. Therefore, marketing's got a department card that needs to drive to that number. Mm-hmm. So marketing, you start from there and figure out what you need to measure, because that's the end for you.
Exactly.
And
And that
then it starts to flow.
for different companies though, right?
Again, ask that again.
That could be drastically different for different companies. Do you agree?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Look, we have a scorecard, a leadership number called accounting dumpster fires. So,
I
you know, I don't it's one of our three uniques. We solve your accounting dumpster fire. So how many do we have out there that we still need to solve?
Oh, yeah, amazing.
Yeah, and I mean it's a little bit qualitative. We turned it into a number, but it's our opinion about who's a dumpster fire right now. But it's very helpful for sales hat to be able to look at and go, okay, maybe now's not the right time to press on the onboarding team, with 2 new clients this week.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe we back it up a little bit and get a little bit more realistic. But yeah, your numbers, as we talk about 4 pillars that you have to fit them into.
Yeah.
Sales and marketing, we can generate business. Client operations, we do a good job. Finance, right? We're sustainably profitable, not just profitable, but sustainably profitable.
Love that.
And then people and mission, which is like, we like working here. Right? 'Cause if you have a place where you can generate business, you're good at what you do, you're sustainably profitable, and people like working there, congratulations, you won the game.
Yeah.
So we talk about fitting them into there. There's some creativity within those pillars, though, especially that last one, like people and mission. How do you figure out how you're achieving on that? How do you know people like working there?
Yeah.
If you have enough people, you can do surveys and talk about employee turnover. But most companies that we work with don't have, we got a small enough staff that if one employee turns over in a month, the number's way up, and then the next month it's 0. And so yeah, there's a lot of creativity that you can add to it if you're just thoughtful about everybody being on the same page about how you believe that item tracks towards a financial outcome.
I love that. John, so, in this conversation, I've definitely heard like how, the CFO can support the integrator, right? With all of that data, all of that knowledge of how we bring in revenue, how we support our sales and marketing team. And I think that's beautiful. But I would love to how can we as integrators support, our CFO, make sure that they're thriving and doing, what the work that we need them to do?
So an integrator's really got to know the ins and outs of how the business works and what the real levers are. Finance is a great place to test and find out, right? What are the outcomes? I'm doing this, like it's a cycle. Because a CFO is going to come in, especially if it's a CFO from our group, or any outside group. They're not necessarily going to know everything about how your company works, maybe even about your industry.
Right.
In the same way that, sometimes you might, you see fractional integrators that aren't necessarily industry focused. And so the CFO will lean on the integrator to really learn from them as the CFO starts building tools and figuring out how to generate things, how things really work. What are the real levers? How come, like CFO could walk in and just be like, yeah, look, your accounts payable are too high. You need, whatever. Or accounts receivable. The CFO is going to love high accounts payable because that's positive for cash flow. If your receivables, are too high, but the integrator is going to know, like, hey, look, this is how the process works. This is what it's showing. So they can be real partners in, not just understanding the flow and what's important so that you're predicting the right things, but also then getting it together and being like, hey, you know what? Those 3 places, integrator, where you told me, oh, the information's kind of bad, we just have to do it that way. Actually, you can work with the data this way, or update your process to get this number that you said is really important. And they can really be a good tag team for getting that kind of work done.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a good example of that. Oftentimes it happens in accounts receivable. You walk in and somebody's got billing and we CFOs, we're coming in and we're pulling up a receivable aging report. We're like, oh my gosh, you have like 80% of your receivables are 90 plus days past due. What's going on? And they're like, oh, well, we do these progress bills. And so we put the bill for the whole project in, and then we have them pay us half, but it's all on the first day, technically in the books. CFO can come in and be like, you know what? I think I can help you here. Because I bet you don't know what people owe you at a glance. Yeah, we really struggle trying to figure out who to actually, call and collect from. Yeah. Okay. Here's a different way of doing it that will get your data right and continue to solve the problem that thing was solving. Because nobody just like does things wrong on purpose. There's a reason for people doing things that kind of muck up the data. And it's usually solving some other problem that they're willing to deal with the data issue, or not knowing the capabilities of a system.
That's very true. Yeah. Well, and sometimes it's, the way our brains just kind of work differently, right? So we solve what we need in that moment. And it's working well enough that don't fix what's not broken, right? So just keep doing what we're doing. So I can absolutely understand. And listen, I can speak firsthand too, right? Because you all have really been instrumental in, our finances and helping us get organized and, understanding. And you didn't think I was going to bring that up, did you?
No, I appreciate it.
No, you guys, we've been working with you all. Gosh, has it been since like 2020 or 2021?
I think 21. Yeah. That's a pretty nice arc.
Yeah. Well, and it's been really, really pivotal for us, that, just getting the reports and, having the conversations that we've had, and just truly understanding, what our finances are and what they're doing for us and what we need it's been incredible, an incredible experience working with you all. So I can definitely speak firsthand to that.
Well, I appreciate you saying it. We love working with you guys.
We love it. Not only do you get to work with us and our finances, but it's been a beautiful partnership having you be at Summit and, coming to leading workshops and different things. So I'm just so incredibly grateful for all you do, John, because you really are making a difference in this world, helping people understand finances. Because a lot of times, like as I'll put my visionary hat on for a few minutes, I can do it, but I don't want to. I don't like it takes a lot of brain power for me to think about all of those things. And I'm like, hey, if somebody does this and this is above the line for them, this is the thing that they're gifted at and talented at, let's let them do it, because they're going to find things that I'm not going to see at all. They're going to do it faster and they're going to do it quicker. So let's let them do it and let me sit in my unique talent above my bar and doing what I do. And that's what I see as the beautiful thing that you and, CFOs bring to the table is we don't have to like use that brain muscle. We can, but now we can have somebody who does it so much better than us, so much faster than us with, really great talent to help us.
We call that ease their pain.
I'd love
it's one of our core values, like the old movie Field of Dreams, the baseball movie, hears the voices and one of them is like, ease his pain.
Yeah.
We took it from that. It's part of how we work, internally. It's just kind of like, look, if something's been assigned to you, or you've offered to do something for somebody, then it's yours. You're going to cause the result to happen. You're going to own it, and you're not going to like if there is a problem because somebody gets overloaded and it's supposed to be done next Thursday, and you realize this, you're going to raise your hand first and say, hey, this is a thing, so that the person who has assigned it to you or that you've taken it from, when they give it to you, the pain is gone. Right? It's not on their shoulders. Yeah. And with clients, what that means is I talk to people about, like, look, one is give them great advice, like get them the numbers they need, all those things, the work that we do. But two is clients need to know that we are providing the energy to move this thing forward in finance and accounting. And that comes straight from me living the life as a business owner. Mm-hmm. When we hire somebody else and they're easing my pain and I don't have to worry about that thing anymore, because somebody's providing the energy and they're bringing it to me and they're telling me, hey, this is relevant. You need to stop and look at this now. Whoa.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I just described an integrator, but it happens seat by seat as well.
Oh, I totally agree. I totally agree. And here's my interpretation of your ease the pain is peace and freedom.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I now have peace of mind that somebody who is gifted and talented in this area is working on this. And I now have peace that it's going to be well taken care of, and freedom that I don't have to be the one that's doing that. Right?
That's right.
That's
right.
Oh, friend, I knew we would have such a fun conversation. And there's about 10 nuggets of information that came out of this, not just for everybody else, but for me too. So thank you for coming and sharing your expertise. You're always so fun to talk to.
Oh, I appreciate you having me, Kristie. Anytime.
Yeah. So you know how I'm going to end our conversation. I'm going to end it with 3 rapid fire questions here. So if you know me and you know me well, you know honor, empower, and inspire means a lot to me. We'll start with honor. So who is a woman of a past generation that you would like to honor, John?
So, man, it's hard to break it down to one. I'm going to do 2 quick ones. Okay. First is my grandmother, who was, I like to think of myself and try to be somebody who can kind of operate on different levels of different circles, whether it's, talking to my fellow nerds, or marketers, or putting on a fancy suit, or going and hanging on the street. My grandmother was that way. She was a woman who was like, I would like to, go to Paris and have fancy antiques, and also Popeye's fried chicken on Mardi Gras, please.
I love that.
And she was very honest. So she's one real quick, and then digging real deep, way back when, Saint Monica, patron saint of married couples, and a super example of persistence in this world. So you can go look up her story. Her son was Saint Augustine, but he was no saint for a long time, and she stuck with him and stayed on him.
I love that. That's 2 amazing women.
Don't we need that as small business owners and spouses?
Yes, agree. Those are 2 amazing women. That's exciting. Thank you for sharing both of them.
No, thanks for indulging me too.
Yeah, absolutely. The next one is empower. Who is a woman of a current generation, someone that's in leadership or owns a business today that you either, empowers you, or that you hope to empower?
I think I've got to go with Kendall Scales Glade, who's been my co-founder at SNS. And coincidentally, she doesn't work for the company anymore. But Kendall and I are still great buds. It wasn't like a split or anything. And Kendall has been a tremendous example to me as a leader of the value of people, and making sure that you understand each and every day that you need them more than they need you as a leader. So you should treat them that way. I'm going to go with Kendall Scales Glade. Shout out.
Kendall is amazing. Just absolutely love her. And then the last one is inspire. Who is a woman of a future generation that you hope to inspire? I think I know the answer to this one.
Yeah, this one. This one is probably no surprise to people. So I mentioned that I got 4 kids. Well, I have 1 daughter, and she inspires me every day with her patience with these boys, her brilliance, and when I think about making the world a better place, it's really for not just Sarah but all of my kids, but Sarah in particular has an assignment, and I only have brothers in this world. So I learn a lot from my little girl. And, you know, much deeper than just Taylor Swift and axolotls, the things that she's into right now.
I love it. And she's precious too. So,
She is.
Thank you so much. This was a very fun conversation. Y'all, if you want to get to know John, please check him out at Series Next Solutions. Find him on LinkedIn. I promise it is a conversation that you will not regret. He's just an amazing person. Y'all, I can't wait to see you again next time. Have a great week.